Back in 1932, a retired railroad man in Ohio wrote that supper was beans and bread again, same as the night before. He didn't complain, just said it kept us going. Now let that sink in. No fancy meals, no extras, just a few ingredients stretched as far as they'd go. If you grew up hearing those stories, you already know. These weren't recipes you bragged about. These were the ones that showed up when times got tough. We forgot these meals, but the truth is, they kept America alive. Number 10. Pinto beans and cornbread. In 1937, a coal miner's wife down in eastern Kentucky fed her whole family on a pot of pinto beans that cost less than a dime. 5 kids, 1 tired husband, and not much else in the pantry. She'd get that pot going first thing in the morning, right after pouring her coffee. Then it just sat there, slow bubbling on the stove all day long. By the time evening rolled around, that house smelled like something special, even if, truth be told, it was just beans. You didn't rush a meal like this. Those beans soaked up whatever they could get. Maybe a ham bone if one was saved from Sunday, maybe a scrap of salt pork. And some days, nothing at all. Didn't matter much. You still had beans. Then came the cornbread. Plain and simple. Cornmeal, water, a little grease in a hot skillet. It came out with those crispy edges and a soft middle, the kind you didn't slice neat. You just broke it apart with your hands. And that's how it was eaten. Cornbread crumbled straight into the beans, stirred up till it thickened just right, eaten slow with a spoon. If you grew up around the South, you know the deal. This wasn't just something you had once in a while. This was supper most nights of the week. Nobody called it poor food. It was just what was on the table. And somehow, it did the job. It filled you up after a long day, kept you steady, and gave you just enough to get up and do it all again tomorrow. Number 8. Milk toast. If you ever woke up sick as a kid, you probably didn't even have to ask. This one just showed up. Back in the 1940s, a lot of grandmothers kept it simple. Bread, milk, and a little patience. That was all it took. They'd toast the bread, tear it up into a bowl, and pour warm milk right over the top. Maybe a sprinkle of sugar if you were lucky, or just a pinch of salt. That was the whole meal. It wasn't meant to impress anybody. It was meant to be easy, gentle, something you could eat when nothing else sounded good. And it wasn't just for kids. Older folks leaned on it too. When appetites got small and chewing got hard, milk toast was still there, soft, warm, and familiar. During hard times, this was the kind of meal that filled the gap. Cost almost nothing, took just a few minutes, and didn't ask much from you. But what people really remember isn't the taste, it's that feeling. Sitting there wrapped in a blanket, someone setting that bowl in front of you, saying, "Go on now, eat a little." And somehow, you always did. Number 8. Rice and gravy. Down in Louisiana, there was a widow in the late 1940s who fed herself for nearly 2 years on the same supper, rice and gravy, night after night. She didn't call it hardship, she just called it eating. A pot of light rice stretched as far as it could go, and the gravy, well, that came from whatever was left behind. A bit of drippings, a scrap of meat, sometimes just flour browned in fat till it turned deep and rich. That was enough. You poured that gravy right over the rice, let it soak in, and suddenly it felt like more than it was. Warm, heavy, and steady. In a lot of homes, especially across the South, this wasn't a side dish, this was the meal. Families knew how to stretch one piece of meat across days. Bones for stock, drippings for gravy, nothing wasted, not a single bit. And somehow, the full plate still made its way to the table. It wasn't fancy, didn't need to be, because when that gravy hit the rice after a long day, well now, that stuck to your ribs and carried you through till morning. Number 7. Navy bean soup. In 1935, factory towns across Ohio and Pennsylvania had something simmering in the background almost every day, a pot that never really emptied. Navy bean soup. A pound of dried beans cost just a few cents, and once they hit the pot, they went a long way. Women would let them cook low and slow for hours, sometimes all day, until the beans broke down into something thick and hearty. If there was a ham bone, it went in. If not, the pot kept going anyway. And here's the part folks remember. That pot didn't get thrown out at the end of the night. Next day, you added a little water, maybe a pinch of salt, and kept it moving, day after day, stretching it as far as it would go. In some homes, that same pot fed a family for nearly a week. Even up in Washington, they served navy bean soup every single day in the Senate dining room, but the version that mattered most was the one sitting on a worn-out stove in a small kitchen, feeding folks who didn't have a second option. It wasn't flashy, but it was steady, and back then, steady was everything. Number 6. Buttered egg noodles. In the 1950s, there were plenty of nights when supper came together in under 10 minutes, not because folks wanted it that way, but because that's all there was. A pot of egg noodles boiling on the stove, a spoonful of butter waiting on the side. That was dinner. Once the noodles were drained, that butter melted right in, coating every bite with just enough richness to make it feel like a real meal. Maybe a little salt, maybe some pepper, and that was it. No meat, no sides, no extras. But here's what people remember. Kids didn't complain. After a long day, they sat down and ate those noodles like it was the best thing on the table. Warm, simple, and filling enough to quiet a hungry stomach. For a lot of families, this was the meal that showed up right before payday, when the pantry was running low, and you had to make something out of almost nothing. It wasn't exciting, didn't try to be, but it was quick, it was hot, and some nights, that was all you really needed. Number 5. Mayonnaise Sandwich. In the 1930s and 40s, there were school kids all across the country opening their lunch pails to the same thing: 2 slices of white bread with nothing but mayonnaise in between. No meat, no cheese, just mayo. And the truth is, most of them didn't think twice about it. A jar of mayonnaise sat in just about every kitchen. It lasted a long time and did one important job. It made plain bread go down easy, added a little richness when there wasn't anything else to put on it. For some families, this was lunch every single day for months, not because they liked it better, but because it was what they had. You'd spread it thick, press the slices together, maybe wrap it in wax paper, and that was that. Looking back, it sounds like almost nothing, but back then it counted as a meal. Kids took it to school, fathers took it to work. Nobody made a fuss, because when you're measuring food by whether it keeps you going, something simple like that sandwich did the job just fine. Number 4. Dandelion Greens. Every spring, long before grocery stores meant much, kids were sent out into the yard with a sack and a simple instruction: go pick those dandelions before they turn bitter. Back in the 1930s, a lot of families didn't see weeds, they saw supper. Those greens grew everywhere, along fences, in empty lots, right out back where you'd least expect it. And when winter had been long and heavy, that first batch felt like a gift. They'd bring them in, wash them good, and toss them together while something hot waited on the stove. Usually just a bit of bacon grease poured right over the top, maybe a splash of vinegar if it was around. That was it. No store, no cost, just what came up from the ground. Folks used to call it a spring tonic, said it helped shake off the heaviness of winter. Whether that was true or not, people believed in it. And more than that, They relied on it, because when money was tight and the pantry was thin, knowing you could step outside and find something to eat, well, now that was a kind of security most people don't think about anymore. Number 3. Fried bologna sandwich. In the early 1950s, there were kids all across the Midwest and the South who knew the sound of this one by heart. That sizzle when a slice hit the pan. Fried bologna. It started out as one of the cheapest things in the store. Came in a big ring, sliced thick at the counter, and somehow stretched into meal after meal. You'd throw it in a hot skillet, and just like that, the edges would curl up, the center would bubble, and that plain slice turned into something that smelled a whole lot better than it had any right to. Sometimes it went between 2 slices of white bread, maybe a little mustard if it was around. And that was lunch. Factory workers packed it up before sunrise. Kids carried it to school wrapped in paper. Nobody called it special, but folks remember it anyway, because it was hot, it was quick, and it tasted like somebody put in just a little extra effort, even when there wasn't much to work with. Number 2. Cornmeal mush. If you grew up in a tight household, there's a good chance your morning started the same way more times than you can count. Something warm, plain, and made to last. Cornmeal mush. Back in the 1930s, this was breakfast for a whole lot of families across Appalachia and the Midwest. Cheap, filling, and easy to make in big batches that stretched for days. It sat on the stove, thickening slow, stirred over and over till it came together just right. First day, you ate it hot. After that, it got sliced up and used again. Folks would cut it into pieces the next morning and fry it till the outside turned crisp and golden. Inside stayed soft, warm, just enough to keep you going. No waste, not a bit of it. That's what people remember most. Nothing got thrown out. Everything had a second use, sometimes a third. It wasn't exciting, didn't have to be, because when you woke up early, had a long day ahead, and needed something to hold you over, that simple pan on the stove did exactly what it was supposed to do. Number 1. Egg drop soup. In 1943, not long after the war turned life upside down, a mother in California made supper with just a pot of hot water and a couple of eggs. That was all she had, and somehow it became a meal. Egg drop soup. She'd bring the water to a boil, stir it slow and pour the eggs in just right so they turned into thin ribbons floating through the broth, a splash of soy sauce if it was around, and that was it. Took 5 minutes, maybe less. It wasn't heavy, didn't fill you up the way a big dinner would, but it was warm, and it was something. During those years, a lot of families learned real quick that you didn't need much to make a meal feel complete. Just a little protein, a little heat, and something to hold on to till morning. That bowl didn't look like much sitting on the table, but when the cupboards were bare and the day had been long, it did exactly what it was meant to do. These meals weren't made to impress anybody. They were made to get folks through another day. Chances are you've seen one of these on your table before. If you remember one, go ahead and say it out loud, because some things are worth holding on to.